Hi, welcome to part 2 Fairy Tales of Snow White and Rose Red. I feel like going story time. Anyway, I will likely need a part 3. I'm just going to share a very short, brief one, and I'm paraphrasing. If you do want to follow along, then you can get the Grimm's Fairy Tale. It's the complete Grimm's Fairy Tales, and I will next time bring the book and show you the front cover and the translation. But it's really powerful, and this is the one that I recommend for yourself, for children. Children don't see the fairy tales, and there are specific fairy tales I would recommend for children depending on their age. But they don't see the fairy tales the same way we do. They don't receive them the same way that we do. So allow your inner child to receive it as you would as a child, right? As a child would. So in this second part, I just wanted to talk about what's going on right now, what you may be feeling with what's going on in your life collectively. And I'm not going to really say any details. I'm just going to say that we always have choice. We are always surrounded by our guardians, our guides, our teams of light, our families of light. And it really is our frequency too, what we are magneting in, what we are tuning into and bringing in. And I had a really wonderful question from a dear soul. She is just radiant. And she asked a question that I will just say, there sometimes can be a lot of talk about, well, it's not just love and light, it's, there are other things. And what I have to say about that is things are reflected back to us with what we're putting out, and sometimes test us, of course, but it's frequency. It's what we focus on. It's what we choose to put our energy into. It is even what some people call, nightmares, or the darkness of nightmares, or the dark, physically and speaking symbolically, it's a reflection. It's a reflection. There's always medicine. There's always magic. There's always alchemy in it. And we never want to sweep our feelings away, right? We always want to allow them to flow through us. We're a vessel, so they can burn in the cauldrons, alchemize, transmute, transform, forge, move with the air so they can shift and change with the winds, our breath, right? So flowing through us, we as the vessel, flow and undulate with the waters, so it can change and be coated with our waters. So it's really important that whatever arises for you, whatever you choose to put your focus on or believe in, you will see, right? Now, in saying that, it's really a message from the fairies. Because I wasn't going to say any of that, but I heard them talking, and it's the big ones, as I've said before, the big fairies, the big fae. And I will do a YouTube. I will talk about what and who the fae are. I do have something on my website that can also guide you in that if you want to check it out, melissavirtue.com. But I hold a Q&A each month, and I might hold it twice a month, depending on how that flows. But it's free. You can just jump in. I always put the Zoom up in my newsletter. If you want to join my newsletter, I'll try to put it in the YouTube as well. But I will hold the next one maybe at the end of this month or the beginning of August. And it's free. You can just hop in. It's an hour and a half, depending on how many questions, but no longer than that. It's not recorded. You can ask me anything personal, anything about the fairies, about something going on in your life, about dreams, about creating, about black holes, white holes, Seriously. My son and I talk about black and white holes. The children are receiving so much information, and they are radiant vessels who have chosen to receive that and pass it on. So without further ado, let's do this small part. I'm hearing the fairies go, say that. That's important. Because then we can talk about who the Toha did in honor in the Q&A. But you can ask me anything. It's an ask anything. Ask me anything. I just want a discussion. I want to form a community where you can bring your questions. And we're just hanging out with your tea, your chai, your cacao, your coffee, whatever you have, your water, and we can discuss. And I can offer guidance as well, whatever comes through. So, as I said earlier, without further ado, here we go. The next part of the story, again, I'm paraphrasing, is Snow White. Remember, she is so bonded with her sister, Rose Red. And they are out in the forest, and they were picking berries and speaking to those three animals. And if you listen to my last YouTube, you understand that the three is very potent and powerful, and it means something to you, as well as has this cultural, and all the culturals, worldly, cosmic information as well, right? Encoded with that. The three is extremely encoded. All numbers are. But they are out in the forest, and night comes, and it says in the story that oftentimes they would sleep in the forest if they were still out in the forest before, while the sun set, before they could go home. So they would sleep in the forest, and no harm would come of them. And upon awakening in the morning, one morning, it happened that they awoke, and there was a shining child dressed in white at the foot of their forest bed. And the child smiled at them and went deeper into the forest. And they were so curious about the child, they got up and they just looked around them before making movements and saw that they were on a precipice. And if they had taken any steps further in the dark, they would have fallen off. So I'm going to pause there and just go back a little bit. They felt comfortable in this deep forest to sleep, to dream with the forest and all of its beings. No harm came of them. And remember, these are just the top layers. I would love to hear what your layers, after I share these codes, what arises in you. That no harm would come of them. While they were speaking to the animals, they were joyful, they were loving to the forest and the animals and all the beings there. So they were highly protected, right? By their heart. I feel you may receive something different. I see it and feel it as they were protected by their heart light, because they were shining it so brightly for the other beings and caring for the forest and feeding and nourishing the forest and her beings. And then this child that was shining. So again, the Fae are known as the Shining Ones. And there's a entire thousands of hours I could talk to you about that, but I will mention it in another YouTube. The Shining Ones. And he was wearing white. Well, what does white represent to you? So think about the codes of white. And think about white light and what that's connected to. And that he was shining. His auric field was so bright that they noticed it. And he was at the foot of their bed, not by their heads, but at the root, at the base of where they were sleeping, rooting them, anchoring them. at their feet. When we say feet, a lot of times we'll say soles of the feet. When I was dancing in New York, the technique that I trained in, we always would say, place the soles of your feet together for particular movements. So the soles of the feet, we receive a lot. There are a lot of pressure points, a lot of things in the feet, and a lot can rise up through our column of light, the jet, right? Our column of light. And so I'll just leave you with that thought. And then he moved deeper into the forest, so away from the precipice, right? To guide them back into the depth, back into the nourishment, away from the danger. And also to let them know, you're protected. We are here because of your light, your resonance, your frequency. And so, in the dark, they were protected. Again, because of frequency, resonance, and other things. So I'd like to know what rises for you. I'll leave it there for now. And then we'll move on to part 3 and complete this. I heart bow to you in love and in joy, and in the tale of Faery and the magic and alchemy that it brings to you. Thank you for listening.